Marvel Rivals had one of the most controversial beta launches in recent memory, but that aside, it was still a heavily talked about and praised game, even with the one-to-one comparisons being thrown around of being an Overwatch clone with a Marvel facelift. Today, we're going to be covering a Polygon article speaking on potential future characters, and how crossplay will work when the game fully launches, and the answers may surprise you. But before we get into that, make sure to show off your hype for Marvel Rivals by hitting that like button and making it glow as we reach for 20 likes on the video. And while you're down there, consider hitting that subscribe button as we will be covering Marvel Rivals, other AAA games throughout the year, playthroughs, hilarious content, and more. Today we're going to be referencing an article from Polygon titled Marvel Rivals has won the popular vote, but can it stick the landing? We're going to be covering only certain parts for the video, so if you're interested in the rest of the article, go ahead and check it out for yourself by following the link to the article provided in the description. With that out of the way, let's get right into the video. We'll be skipping towards the latter half of the article where they start talking about future characters for the game. What they said reads as follows. Regarding the process of picking new heroes for Marvel Rivals, NetEase and Marvel have gravitated towards a 70 to 75% split of greatest hit heroes. Then we throw in some curveballs for the rest and dig deep to bring ancient characters back to the forefront, Q added. This is why Captain America and Venom, who can wall crawl and web around the map, appear alongside someone like Luna Snow and Jeff the Landshark. According to Sasser, the relationship between NetEase and Marvel is highly collaborative. It's not about yes or no, it's more about how this aligns with the vision of character and what the audience wants, he said. It's much more of a conversation than it is confrontational as you might think. From this we see what type of characters we'll be getting in the future of the game. As they mentioned, they want most of their characters to be quote-unquote greatest hit heroes, so some of the most popular, requested, and franchise-defining heroes and villains will be added in the game in majority. But, along with that, there will also be a hero or villain here and there that will also be released alongside others that are more underrepresented, or that you don't really hear about too much. They also seem to have the go-ahead from Marvel to use anything that they so wish, as long as they can make it make sense gameplay-wise and eventually tie it into the background in-game lore too. I don't think the lore is going to be as important to them as nailing the gameplay element for characters, which is a good thing in games like this, where it's heavily gameplay focused. Also, I don't think it should be glanced over that the relationship between these two is actually very good. This lets the developers plan everything cool, fun, and creative for the characters that we already know and love across the Marvel timeline and universes. So it's actually super good that we see these two companies have a great relationship, so we can see great, creative, and heavily fan-requested characters throughout this game's lifecycle. Next in the article, they state NetEase and Marvel have a plan for the characters they're going to introduce in the future, but they also want to be reactive to the demands of players. So it is subject to change. The core philosophy is that each character has their own unique playstyle, and we don't want to repeat that much, Ku said. So we're very judicious on which interesting characters to choose from so they differentiate themselves from the existing roster. So from this, it sounds like if a character is heavily requested, or maybe a new character of a certain class is requested, stemming from the three main classes being Duelist, Vanguard, or Strategist, if popular demand is there from the players, it may influence what is released next in terms of heroes and villains. On top of that, they also say they don't want anyone to play too similar. So variations of different characters that don't make sense to have different abilities probably won't have their own character. Instead of this, they may just get a skin that is related to the character instead. An example off the top of my head is early different versions of Iron Man suits. Instead of making a ton of Iron Man variations as playable characters, maybe they just give skins that pay homage to the different versions. Next in the article, they even touch on this very topic, where it states, with that in mind, I asked about the concept of Echo Fighters in Marvel Rivals. Given that there are so many multiversal counterparts and incarnations of superheroes and villains across comic book history, there are some examples such as Hulk and Red Hulk where they're pretty much different people, but in terms of style, they're similar, so maybe that's a skin, maybe? Ku said, sounding very questionable. But if it's Spider-Man like Peter Parker or Miles Morales in the Marvel Universe, they are really different characters, even on the skill side. And this is a Marvel Universe game, so as much as possible, we're trying to balance it so we have Avengers, Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy, and X-Men. We want to make sure that we cover a broad range of characters instead of having too many Spidey characters or too many Avengers, so that players can choose their composition more effectively. So here they pretty much confirm my suspicions of no straight-on duplicate feeling characters, and even suggest that they would more than likely be skins with their own Hulk and Red Hulk example. They then reconfirm when it comes to popular characters that may look similar but play completely different, that they would consider making them a full-on character instead of just a skin, in order to represent their variation in a unique gameplay essence, as long as they aren't filling up the rosters with too many of one type of character or franchise. They also give us teases of franchises they are more than likely looking into for more recent releases for characters, name-dropping Avengers, Fantastic Four, Guardians of the Galaxy, and X-Men. It would make a lot of sense for them to capitalize on movie trailers and coming releases. So something like 1 or 2 Fantastic Four characters coming in soon after release is very possible, since Fantastic Four is slated to release July of next year. With a strategy like this, they could capitalize on the new popularity the movie may drum up for the character, along with also providing an opportunity to monetize alternate universe skins for them and make some money. Like, let's just say they make the Human Torch in correlation with the release of Fantastic Four, and one of the buyable skins is the Chris Evans version from early MCU, or the more recent Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Lastly, at the end of the article, they touch on crossplay and cross-progression. Here's what they have to say on it. As we were wrapping up, Ku reconfirmed the team's approach to crossplay and cross-progression as Marvel Rivals approaches its superhero landing in December. We're still thinking about cross-progression, but crossplay definitely. We had crossplay during the closed beta so that console players could play against PC in quick matches. But we don't want them to group together when it's competitive because of the various technical skill gaps between controllers. So here they confirm crossplay will be a thing for sure, just like in the beta, but cross-progression is still being considered. But when it comes to competitive or ranked play for the game, there will not be crossplay, as they say, because of the various technical skill gaps between controllers. By this, they are no doubt talking about the differences between console controllers and mouse and keyboard. This debate is almost as old as time at this point, but to sum it up, usually controllers get heavy aim assist to help bridge the gap between the smoothness and aim movements that are able to happen if you're skilled enough on mouse and keyboard. So that means if the game's player base starts to drop off dramatically later on in its life cycle, it is possible that it could take a really long time to find matches depending on your console of choice's player pool. And it would also have to see if those players are even ranked similar to you to find the skill-based matches to put you in for competitive play. This also begs the question, even though Xbox and PlayStation are similar and use controllers, will they also not be able to matchmake in terms of competitive play as well? Overall though, I really like what I'm hearing from the character point of view for future characters of the game. To me, it makes sense. You don't want to oversaturate the game with characters that are too similar, but at the same time, paying homage to them with some skins or model overhauls like they state in the article sounds like a great way to still include them in the game. When it comes to their crossplay and cross-progression, I think there really is no reason not to have cross-progression if it's not too much of a pain from a developmental standpoint. But when it comes to crossplay, I'm a bit mixed on it. Personally, once I'm into a game, usually only play ranked modes. Keeping the player pool fair is a great thought, but I'm just worried about the state of ranked play once the game eventually falls out of graces of players and the hype dies down. I'm more than willing to give this game a try and see if I like it more than I did Overwatch. And I'm excited to see what Marvel Rivals in particular will bring to the table of hero shooters moving forward. Let me know what characters you guys would like to see in the game, how Echo Fighters are being handled, and your thoughts on what they said about cross-play and cross-progression in the comment section down below. Also, really quick as we reach the end of the video here, huge announcement for the channel. If you're interested in going an extra step and supporting the channel while getting some cool perks in return, consider becoming a member and get the opportunity to be listed at the end of videos, just like this one. As always though, your support through your viewership, liking, and subscribing is always greatly appreciated and helps me out tremendously against the multiversal threat that is the YouTube algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time. Peace!